Mayong buntag y'all, ako si Ned ug this is myphilippinedreams.com. I am running solo once again because Michelle has been awake for the last 24 hours. She actually took a lead generation job and she worked from about 10 to 6 and she is wiped out. But we're going to be doing a weekly update, weekly wrap up. We haven't done that in a while, like 3 weeks, so we'll probably be doing that a little bit later. What I wanted to talk about in this video was ways to compensate and ways to deal with some of the things that you might not like about the Philippines. In our last videos, we did about 15 topics, some things that some people might not like about the Philippines or have hard times adjusting to them. And in this series, it's probably, I'm going to try to keep it 2 videos, but it might be 3. We're going to talk about some of the ways that you can cope and strategize and compensate for some of these challenges that you're going to face. I've only been here about 18 months, so if you're a long-time subscriber or you've been here for a long time, I know there are some subscribers that have been here for a very long time, feel free to add your compensation strategies in the comment section. Alright, so the first thing we noted, that things that you might not like about the Philippines was the pollution. The noise, the trash, and the air, the smog pollution. Some of the ways you can deal with that. First up, if you're looking to rent a place, I advise, and most other expats will advise, not only going by to check it out with the owner to look around, but coming by later on that night and stopping by a few times over the next couple of days to see what the noise volume is. You might have a neighbor with a kicking videoke system, or there might be a videoke parlor nearby that runs late into the evening, which could cause some problems. Also, it'll give you an opportunity to see which of your neighbors are burning yard trash. Not everybody burns trash, but a number of people do burn trash in the Philippines. It's just part of the way it is here. And by coming by multiple times over time, you can see who's burning trash, who's blasting the music, how loud are the roosters, are there barking dogs. The barking dogs, actually, if you're in a little community type compound, even if it's not completely gated in, I've noticed that the barking dogs only bark at strangers. When a stranger comes into the neighborhood, they go ballistic, and that gives the entire community a heads up that somebody who's not normally there is actually there. So that's a lot of reasons that the dogs aren't so bad. Plus, over time, you're going to get used to the noise. You're going to get used to the roosters. I actually don't even notice them anymore. You can hear them in the background. Whenever I'm calling the U.S., people are like, dude, you live in a chicken coop? You're going to get used to it. You're going to adjust to it. The barking dogs, when they're right next to the house, not so much. That's a little more difficult. The burning trash, you're not going to get used to. But you do tend to get used to some of the things that you're going to face when it comes to trash. Also, depending on where you live, people might just dump trash on the side of the road in the neighborhood or whatnot. I've done some videos out in front of our house, and you can see where people, I don't know if they intended to burn it at some point and then just never got around to it. But trash, pollution, that stuff is part of living in a developing country, and it's something that you can adapt to. Also, when you're riding your bike, a lot of people will wear a bandana around their mouth to screen out some of the larger particulates when the people are burning trash in the evenings and stuff. So that's one way you can deal with that. So that's the first piece, the pollution. The second piece is the heat. The bad news, if I'm from New England in the U.S., and I've never really been in the tropics except once with the military, it's really hot. It's really humid. It's like Florida, basically, in the summertime, year-round. The good news is you do get used to it. You do acclimate. It took me, I'd say, about a year to get used to the heat. When I first got here, I was running the air conditioner, I was running the fans all the time. And this was in January, and poor Michelle was shivering, covered in blankets and all that stuff, and I had the air conditioning on. When I used to go out, I'd be sweating through my t-shirt within 5-10 minutes. It was really uncomfortable. It was unbearable. But now I have adapted to a certain extent. I am used to it. And when it gets cold here, it recently got 73 degrees a couple of weeks ago. I'm actually putting on my flannel pajamas. There's a couple other ways you can deal with the heat in the interim. Wear headgear. I actually got this hat. This is like a wide brim jungle hat. unfortunately, I didn't realize that it makes me look like a Gerber baby when I wear it. I have a camouflage one also that I wear. Basically what this does is it just creates a little portable shade area on top of your head. And you'll see a lot of Filipinos walk around with parasols. They walk around with umbrellas to create, the shade, to reduce the heat. And a lot of guys are too cool to do that. I actually have done it a couple times when it's been really, really hot. I've used the whole parasol thing. And you'll see some expats, they'll go one step beyond that hat, and they'll get the giant straw hats, like the Vietnamese, conical hats, and they're creating this massive shade area wherever they go. And that works pretty good. When you're out and about on your motorcycle in particular, you want to wear long sleeves. You'll see Filipinos wearing jackets, usually reversed. Again, the sun here, we're so close to the equator that the sun is closer and it just beats down on you and you will burn very quickly. Also, another thing you got to do with the heat is you got to drink lots of water. Too big, lots of too big. You got to consciously do it. Just don't drink water when you're thirsty. You got to constantly. Like before I head out to deal with my stuff for the day, I usually drink 1.5 liters. Also, air conditioning. You don't have to run your if you run your air conditioning 24 hours a day, you're never going to get used to the heat. We have it on a timer. We run it at 2-hour intervals during the evening. After the 2 hours, it turns on a fan. And sometimes when it's really hot, like summer's here, almost here, we'll run like 2-hour, 3-hour siesta in the afternoon. And you keep it on low. You don't crank it up to 10. We keep ours at around 4 or 5. We have it on the timer, and that helps a lot with the heat. Also carrying bandanas around just to, to mop off the heat, to the sweat. And wearing, some people wear those high performance polyester wicking t-shirts and all that stuff. I have cotton. When I go back to the US, I might pick up some of those higher tech fabrics. So the good news is, again, you get used to the heat. The bad news is it's really hot when you first get here. Okay, moving on. Number 3, shopping conveniences. I don't even know if I mentioned this in some things you might not like about the Philippines. You can get Amazon delivered here, but what happens is you're going to get hit with a massive tariff import fee, which is like 50 to 75% of the value of the item that you're getting. Same thing with eBay. The good news is, even though we don't really have access to Amazon and eBay, we do have eBay China and eBay Philippines. I have used both of them, and I have had nothing but success with both of them. I have both bought and sold stuff on eBay Philippines and eBay China. The majority of them use PayPal, so you get the buyer protection. When it comes in, you got to pay about 100 peso tariff fee or the customs fee for them to look at. So far, they've never opened it up, so it hasn't been an issue. Things coming from within the Philippines, there isn't that import, that tariff, that 100 peso fee, but when it comes from eBay China, there is. You also have Lazada.com. I have had nothing but success with Lazada.com. It's cash on delivery. When the dude shows up, usually LBC, you have the money, you pay them to give you the item. Usually they have a 2-week to 4-week return policy, no questions asked, and they also pay the return shipping. The customer service is excellent, and I have had nothing but good experiences with Lazada.com, except when it ships to go, but we'll talk about that some other time. So yeah, there's no Target, there's no Walmart, there's really not Amazon and eBay here, but you do have eBay, Philippines, China, and Lazada.com. And you just get used to Chinese merchandise. It's very cheap, and it's disposable. If it breaks, you just buy a new one. Customer service is number 4, the 4th thing that I noted that you might not like about the Philippines. Look at it this way. You go to a restaurant. The employees are not paid a lot of money. They're working 10, 12-hour shifts 6 days a week. They're not paid a lot, so they don't have a lot of financial incentive to perform. A lot of times if you tip them, and it's like out in the open, it's an overt tip, you leave the money behind, they're supposed to put it in a kitty, a communal pot, and then after a week, after 2 weeks, the manager goes through it and counts it up, takes his cut, and then disperses the rest of it to all the staff. So again, they're not really getting directly compensated. There's no financial incentive for them to really perform. So what you can do is, if you're having a special night out with somebody special, you just have your server, you grab your server, and you say, hey, listen, I'm having a special night out. If you give us good service and you give us a lot of attention, I'll pay you 20, 30 peso for your tip. And you do it under the table. You do it kind of surreptitiously to them so that they can pocket it without that. And as far as going to stores and stuff, just know what you're looking for. You have to do the research on the items that you're looking for. Don't expect the clerks to know everything about what they are selling or where everything is. And you just got to be patient. So that's number 4, customer service, some of the things you might not like about the Philippines. Number 5, at 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Natural disasters, volcanoes, earthquakes, super typhoons. Some areas of the Philippines are more susceptible to these natural disasters than others, particularly super typhoons, typhoons. Where we are in Negros and Dumaguete, we're actually shielded by some of the islands to the east of us. So Dumaguete, I don't believe, has ever experienced a severe super typhoon directly. It's experienced storm surge, it's experienced heavy rains, which has caused some flooding. So that's a cause for concern. If you are in Luzon, especially like southeast Luzon, you're right in the track where most of the typhoons go, so you might not want to live there. There's actually a group of islands to the north of Luzon called Batanes, I believe, that they get hit with so many super typhoons that everything there is built of stone. And they build their houses and stuff in depressions to cut down on the damage from the storms. Earthquakes, that's kind of hard to predict where those are going to hit. And when it happens very quickly, and there's not a lot you can do about that. But as far as super typhoons, which I think are the biggest cause for concern, there are certain areas of the Philippines that are less susceptible than others. Okay, so we went through the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. No, 5 things. Natural disasters being the last. In our next video, we'll talk about the next 5 things. We'll try to blast through as quickly as possible. Again, if you have been here longer than I, if you have more experience in this, or if you have unique perspectives on how to deal with some of these challenges that you might face in the Philippines, please leave it in the comments section. Let's get the discussion going. Also, I'm not being negative on the Philippines. The positives of living in the Philippines far outweigh these negatives and these challenges. If the positives didn't, I wouldn't be here, trust me. And I'm not the most laid-back, easygoing, patient person, so a lot of times it's been a challenge for me. So what I'm trying to say is, if I can do it, basically anybody can do it. So we'll talk about more coping mechanisms and schemes in the next video. Until next time, this is Rambling Ned, and take care.